Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I'm Anna, the 3D Cup Lady. This is my first YouTube video. It's a tutorial of how I made these 3 cups. There's this one here, and this with a concha topper, and then this one with the porquito little pond on the side. So I'm going to show y'all how I made these, how I epoxy something with 3D, how I make the toppers that are nice and secure, that are magnetic. So let's get started. If you like this video, please like it. If you want to see more like this, subscribe. Let's get started.
Alrighty guys, so I get my vinyl and glitter from Red Rock Glitter Girls. Their information is down below, and this patterned vinyl, I am just absolutely in love with it. So what I do is just measure kind of how much vinyl I need to wrap around my cup, figure out where I want it to go, put my cup flat on the table while it's wrapped around so it's nice and even. I'm not too worried about the bottom because I know the bottom's going to be glittered, but I want that top edge to be nice. So I'll wrap it around. Once I got it where I want it to go, I'll peel the vinyl back and cut off a strip. That way that strip, there we go, that way that strip will hold the vinyl in place. Once that is nice and secure, then I'll take a squeegee and just kind of push the vinyl all the way around. And I did that to all 3 cups. On the mug, I just did a couple slits so it would wrap around the mug nicely. I can go more into that. If you'd like to know how I did that, just comment down below and I'll absolutely do that for you. So once these 3 were wrapped, I went ahead and added a layer of epoxy so that when I am spray painting, if I spray paint in the wrong spot, it won't mess up my vinyl. Here I'm using Pinka and this blue spray paint. So I'm just going to spray the bottom of my cup and then sprinkle it with that Pinka glitter from Red Rock Glitter Girls. There is a code down below to save 10%. Make sure you use that. And so I'm just going to sprinkle it on the bottom where that paint is, do a little bit of ombre, sprinkle. I will smoosh this down a little bit with some parchment paper because it is chunky glitter. After the glitter is where I want it, I will seal it with Rust-Oleum 2x clear coat. And then I will do the same on this next cup. I'm going to be using this color, what is it, coral, and then peach luster at the bottom of this cup. So I'll spray paint it and then spray some spray adhesive after the paint is dry and then sprinkle on my glitter. This one has no chunky in it, so I ended up adding just a sprinkle of chunky glitter onto the base of this because I feel I always need a little bit of chunky. So I added that there. Again, all these glitters are on Red Rock Glitter Girl, and I'll write down in the description below exactly which ones I use so you can buy the exact ones if you like. So again, once this is glittered, I will spray paint clear coat on it just to secure that glitter before it is epoxied again. Alright, now so for the mug, I used those 2 pinks that I had already used on the other cups. I did the coral color first, let it dry, and then I did the pink color over top and then let that dry. And then I just used a paper towel and some acetone and just rubbed off where I wanted the vinyl to show through underneath. So now I'm just taking some Mod Podge and just placing it where I want the glitter to go, where the paint is. And then I will glitter all there, all around, and it'll stick everywhere that the Mod Podge is. I do not glitter on the inside of my handle where people will actually be holding it because that's difficult to sand. And then that's ready for epoxy. So to make my drips, y'all, I just do epoxy and cornstarch and a little bit of white alcohol ink. That's all I do, and I just mix until it's the consistency that I want it to be. And then as you can see, I just wrap it around a popsicle stick and then wrap it around the cup where I want it to go. After I add drips, I usually just babysit these for a while. You'll see me flip it upside down like I did there. So if I feel like they're getting too low, I'll just flip it. And the glitter is already epoxied, so the glitter is epoxied onto the cup at that point. Alright, so for my concha, what I did is I made an aluminum foil ball, and then I just wrapped that ball in the white clay. You see that back there. And it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, you know, just kind of work on getting it smooth the best you can. It's just a ball. But most of that is tin foil, so it is full of foil. And I'm sorry I didn't record that, but now I'm doing that sugary icing topping that's on the concha. So I'm just rolling out a slab here, and then I'll find something circular to kind of cut a circle out. There I'm kind of measuring to see how big I want it to be. I use a Starbucks lid here for my venti ice water. And then once I did this, I was like, it's still a little too thick. It's also a little too big. So I ended up rolling that bit out a little bit more even, and then using a smaller, what do you call it? A smaller circle. So which is actually just the cup of my venti ice water is what I ended up using. So there I am, using the cup. And I'm just going to cut out a circle, and then it is ready to be placed on top of my dough ball that I have so far. And then what I do is I use a reference picture. Whenever I'm sculpting anything, I always have a reference picture. It's always best to look at what you're sculpting, just to help you kind of get along and not just sculpting what you think it should look like. That helps me a lot. So there's the vinyl stickers there of the conchas, and so I just cut out strips in between of where those sugary pieces are, just to kind of make that sugary topping type look. And so I'm just using an X-Acto knife and just cutting these away. And then once I have them all cut out where I kind of want them to be, I will bake this. You bake these based on your polymer clay's instructions. I do it at 275 for about 30-45 minutes. I believe it's 30 minutes per half inch, and so in some places that may be a little thicker, so I'll do it for 45 minutes. Here I'm using scrap clay. I wanted to show y'all how I use this to really like massage it and get the air bubbles out. So I really will take a minute to really smush it together really well, try to get any air bubbles out. And then once that's ready, I'll roll it out into a slab. And I actually got a cute little piggy cookie cutter to cut out the porquito for me. And I wanted my porquito to have really nice rounded edges, so what I ended up doing is using saran wrap. And so you'll see here in a second, I'll put a layer of saran wrap on top of my clay. So I've got my slab out, measured, make sure it's big enough to fit my cookie. So then I'm just going to place a layer of saran wrap on it and then push my cookie cutter through the saran wrap. And then what that does is it kind of curves the edges and makes it nice and neat. You'll see. And that way it just looks cleaner and cuter. And when you buy conchas at the Mexican panaderia, they have little rounded edges. So I wanted it to be like that. So now I'm just going to take a blank cup. Guys, never put epoxy in your oven. So I'm just putting a blank cup the same size that I wanted to put it on. So this is a 20-ounce skinny that I'm placing this on, because I'm going to put it on a 20-ounce skinny. And I'm just going to bake that with my concha in the oven at 275 for 45 minutes. And it is thinner, but it's not going to hurt it. It can bake as long as the concha did. It's not going to hurt it one bit. And so once this is baked, I will then put it on the tumbler. There it is, you see it there. And I use hot glue, guys. I love hot glue. If I'm going to put epoxy on it, it's instant. And the way I epoxy these cups is I put a nice thick layer on, and then at this step what you see me doing now is I have a new pair of gloves on, and I just go and make sure it's in every crack and crevice and make sure there's no pulling. So I'll go with my fingertips and I'll really go around and just make sure that there's no pulling, no excess epoxy anywhere. And there you'll see me use my torch to kind of pop any air bubbles that may be there. I use it about 2 inches away from my cup, moving really fast. You don't want to burn your epoxy. Okay, so my concha is now baked up, and I want to make a mold of it. This is the 2-part mold maker from Alumilite, and I just found a bowl that would fit my concha to make a mold around it, and I just poured that mold maker around it. You'll see me struggle to try to get the concha where I want it to sit. So I just use random things to try to weigh it down where I want. Eventually I get it to where I want it to sit, where I would like it to sit. So again, this is the baked concha. And so what I do is after, you'll see me pull this out of the mold. There we go. So I'll pull this out of the mold, and then once it's pulled out, then I can just press my clay directly into the mold and then carefully take it out and bake it again. So now I never have to sculpt a concha by hand. I have this great mold. And the mold maker isn't the cheapest thing in the world, but for me, it's totally worth it so that I'm not having to sculpt things by hand over and over again. Here is after this concha had its final coat of epoxy. I wanted to have some darker spots on it, so that is just UV resin and a little bit of glitter, and then I just use my UV light to do that. Here I'm painting my clay conchas. Again, I just pressed clay into the mold. Took it out and baked it, so these are nice and baked. So now I'm just painting it. I'm using acrylic paint. Guys, if you're using acrylic paint, try to mix it with white the best you can, because white makes it more opaque, so you don't have to do several coats. If you are doing a darker color, just know that you'll have to do a couple coats on it to cover all your clay. So I'm just using brushes here and just painting the conchas the colors that I like. Pretty simple. And so once those are completely dry, look how cute they are. Once they're dry, they're ready for epoxy. So for the toppers, I have two molds there that are coaster molds actually. And so what I'll do is I'll coat each individual piece of my topper in epoxy with my hand. And then I mixed some glitter in with the epoxy and put it at the base of the mold. And then just place my pieces where I want them to go. And so when I pull it out, this will fit perfectly on my topper already. Of course, it needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but everything's nice and coated, and that will fit directly in my lid, exactly where I want it to go. So that's how I love making toppers. And you'll see I'll remove that centerpiece so it'll lay flat, but that's how it works. Here's a close-up of it. So this is just regular epoxy resin. Sorry, my camera skills are amazing. And then I just place my concha where I want it to go inside that mold. And then that way I know it'll fit exactly where I want it to on the lid. So here I'm removing the center pieces of the lid. I use hot glue again, my favorite, to center the magnets right in the middle of the lid. Once the hot glue is cooled down and holding everything together, then I use UV resin around the magnets really well to the lid and to the topper, so that it's nice and secure. And then I'm scraping any excess UV resin that might be in between the magnets, because I want the magnets to have a good seal. And here I'm also cleaning the inside of my cups. I'm using an X-Acto knife to clean out any epoxy, and then just acetone and paper towels to wipe out the inside. And then they are ready to go. So here they are. That's how I made these. If you have any questions, please let me know. Just post it, comment below, and I will answer any questions that you have. These are available on my website. Also, custom orders are there as well. Thanks so much.